Welcome back. Breaking news overnight. The U.S. halting some key weapons for Ukraine, including the Patriot and the Stinger missiles, air defense receptors, and artillery rounds, all to prioritize U.S. military needs and the national stockpile. The Wall Street Journal calling this a sign of weakening support for Ukraine, writing, quote, administration officials have stressed the need to focus more on the longer-term threats from China and more immediately military needs in the Middle East. Ukraine reportedly struck an industrial plant deep in Russian territory overnight after the Kremlin escalated its military presence near Sumy and launched its largest aerial attack to date over the weekend in Ukraine. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un publicly mourned soldiers killed fighting for the Kremlin in a ceremony marking 1 year since the nation's partnership with Moscow. Joining me now is U.S. Ambassador to NATO, Matthew Whitaker. Ambassador, good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. So much to talk about with you just a week after your time with President Trump at the NATO meeting. But first, give us your reaction to the U.S. holding back now on these weapons to Ukraine.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on, Maria. I think the most important thing to know is that this is what America First looks like. We first have to take care of the United States needs, and this is something the Pentagon does all the time, make sure that the United States has the strategic defense capabilities necessary to project power. And so we have to make sure that we have enough Patriot missiles and we have enough air defense and all the things that we need to ensure our own success on the battlefield, wherever that battlefield might be. You saw our great capabilities on the B-2 bombers when they dropped the precision-guided bunker busters on Iran. And so, you know, the world wants that. We saw that with our NATO allies last week. They want to be allied with us so that we can bring those capabilities. And, you know, we just need to make sure that we have what we need at any time to deter and defend ourselves on a credible basis.
And, of course, President Trump wants to make sure that NATO members have what they need. And he was able to lead the NATO members the other day when he was with you in the Netherlands to get their defense spending up. Tell us the enormity of that decision and its implications, Ambassador, because I know Spain was one of the holdouts there, but for the most part, do you expect NATO members to spend 5% of their GDP on their own defenses?
Yeah, this is a monumental victory. President Trump obviously delivered it on behalf of the American people. He insisted that allies spend 5% of their GDP on defense and defense-related matters and items. But what we're seeing is that not only does that spending crucial in this moment, and the war in Ukraine has demonstrated just how we need to make sure that we have the industrial base to deliver these capabilities. But, you know, it needs to be not just in the United States. And we have a great defense base. We're going to continue to ramp that up and deliver a lot of what the world needs. But at the same time, we need allies that are capable, that can not only bring to the fight what they say they can bring, but also be able to build it, to be able to build these missiles, to be able to build munitions, to be able to build battleships and tanks. And so, you know, Maria, we're in a moment of inflection in the world. It's a dangerous world, as you laid out at the introduction of this segment. And we need to make sure the United States leads, but our allies are capable as well.
Well, the president writes on Truth Social, quote, Israel has agreed to the necessary conditions to finalize the 60-day ceasefire, during which time we will work with all parties to end the war with Gaza. I hope for the good of the Middle East that Hamas takes this deal because it will not get better. It will only get worse. It is unclear if Hamas will agree to the deal or if it includes the release of all the hostages held in Gaza, Ambassador. I mean, the president says that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will be at the White House next week again. He was with the president on Monday. In Iran, the country's president ordering officials to stop cooperating with the International Atomic Energy Agency. Work vehicles were seen assessing the damage at the destroyed nuclear sites, Ambassador. So your reaction now, more than a week later, from the Iran nuclear sites getting obliterated, as the president said, by the U.S. strikes, and his talking to Netanyahu at the White House this week.
Yeah, obviously, Iran's nuclear capabilities were obliterated. They're going to need a lot of shovels to dig out of that collapsed structure at Fordow. But, you know, ultimately, you know, Iran should be a functioning member of the global community, President Trump's been clear they cannot have a nuclear weapon. And obviously, we're watching very carefully what they're planning on doing and how they're planning on engaging with the West and with the United States of America. But, the military capabilities, whether through their proxies at Hamas or Hezbollah or the Houthis, or whether it's their actual military capabilities in Iran, they have no ability to defend their airspace. Israel was able to attack, and then ultimately the United States was able to do this elegant attack with our B-2 bombers on their nuclear capabilities. And so they should not rebuild their nuclear capabilities. They should join the world and the way that it's run, and make sure that they are entitled to and want peace, and that their people for sure want peace, and that's what their leadership delivers.
Yeah, and now we can see delivering the president's wishes in the big, beautiful bill. The Senate passed the bill yesterday by a narrow margin. Vice President J.D. Vance cast a tie-breaking vote. It boosts defense spending by $150 billion on the heels of a massively successful NATO summit for the president. What are your thoughts on how this money is allocated in terms of this increase in defense spending?
Well, it's going to go to some critical things that we need. It's going to go to the Golden Dome missile defense system, which is going to be crucial for the security of the United States of America. It's going to go to shipbuilding, which is and submarines, which is going to be also crucial to project power of the United States. And then it's going to go to things like munitions and artillery shells, and on all of the items that you need to not only be strong and therefore guarantee the peace, but also deter adversaries. And, the great thing that came out of the NATO summit with President Trump's leadership and the 5% commitment is that now our allies are going to be equally capable. They're going to live up to their targets and what they should deliver if somehow, peace is broken by an adversary, but they're going to be strong. And that strength is what's going to secure the peace, Maria.
Very important comments, certainly, as we see that. Will there be consequences for those countries that don't go to 5%? What about Spain? The president told me the other day when I asked him this question, he said, well, one of the consequences is that we're not going to do business with them. And that's a big consequence. But from your standpoint, what other consequences might we expect?
Well, first of all, Spain and every other ally in the NATO alliance signed up. So all 32 allies signed up for the 5% pledge. What Spain has said to their domestic audience is that they think they can deliver these capabilities that they've agreed to cheaper. And we'll see that there is a mechanism every year to measure that here at NATO and hold them accountable. And President Trump is absolutely right. He holds all the cards. And if Spain or any other ally doesn't want to live up to their commitments, then there will be serious consequences for that.
All right, Ambassador, great to see you this morning. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Maria.